The Alabama labor union community feels that it's necessary to straighten out some confusion about refunds of the contributions we made to the Parker Griffith campaign for Congress. There have been reports from the Congressman's office that no money has been requested to be returned. The truth is, most of the area unions have requested in writing a refund of their donations. So let the record be clear. Those of us that are here, and many people who wanted to be here and could not be here, we want our money back. We were somewhat upset when Parker Griffith, who was an incumbent state senator, decided to leave his state senate seat unrepresented for a year to pursue a risky congressional campaign. But if he had lost, he would have kept his state senate seat. So we decided if labor really worked hard on contributions and volunteer work, it was possible we could gain a pro-working family congressman in the 5th Congressional District. We knew all along if organized labor was not 100% committed to his election, we could not win. And before we decided to go all in, we had to be positive the candidate was 100% in on our pro-working family agenda. We went all in. We organized a volunteer base and worked very, very hard. In fact, the effort was unprecedented in this congressional district simply because of the promises Parker Griffith made to us. He promised to be a 100% voter on issues that we felt would benefit the district's working families, including health care, the stimulus, and the Employee Free Choice Act. We also did our very best on raising money for our PACs. Our PACs are funded through donations from union members. According to the webpage opensecrets.org, labor contributed $219,000 to elect Parker Griffith, and that's about as good as it gets in Alabama. Long story short, our efforts paid off. Parker Griffith won by the narrowest of margins, and we felt we were instrumental in electing a pro-working family congressman. But oh, how wrong we were. Shortly after he was elected, Dr. Griffith turned into Mr. Hyde. It began with his votes on the Lilly Ledbetter Act. Everybody in America knew the Supreme Court ruling was wrong when Congress voted. And when Congress voted to remedy the issue, he voted against it, and against the best interest of the district. I want to ask you, what kind of public servant is against banning pay discrimination based on the sex of the employee? When a man and a woman work side by side, doing the exact same work, it's a no-brainer that they should be paid the same. What a slap in the face to all the women in the district, and especially our women union members. Thank goodness Congress had the good sense to correct this wrong to working women. Then came the stimulus. The best, most credible economist in the United States said that it was the only answer to our financial situation. They said we would end up in another Great Depression without it. Part of the money went to unemployed workers in the form of extensions in unemployment compensation and COBRA payments for laid-off workers' health insurance. Part went for tax breaks for 95% of the American people. Part of the money went to state government to fund jobs like police officers and firefighters, emergency medical techs, teachers and state employees. At the time, the general fund budget and the education budget in Alabama were hundreds of millions of dollars short. Layoffs were imminent, many layoffs. The loss of the American automobile industry would have been devastating and irreparable and cost the loss of hundreds of thousands more jobs. The bailout of the financial institutions is and was a non-issue since almost all of the money has been repaid plus penalties. Although we've been unable to find out for sure if Griffith went on any ribbon cuttings in the district for business recipients of the stimulus money, I've heard from many of the people in the room, many union members, of press releases sent from his office implying that he was responsible for these businesses receiving these funds, and the stimulus provided the funding. The press people in the room should know more about his press releases than I do, but the point is that hypocrisy is very much involved. When a congressman blasts the stimulus package at every chance he gets, votes against it, then issues stimulus funding to his constituents and claimed he's responsible for delivering it, that's plain old-fashioned hypocrisy. One more relevant point on the stimulus, and then I'll move on. As a state senator, Parker Griffith never saw an incentive program he didn't like. He voted to give enormous amounts of taxpayer money to one of the world's largest corporations in the form of incentives to lure them to Mobile County. It amounted to over $350,000 per job, and the principle is the same, giving enormous amounts of taxpayer dollars to the world's largest corporations. Anyway, thank goodness Congress voted for the stimulus. In fact, the Congressional Budget Office reported last week that unemployment would be in the 25% range if Congress had not enacted the stimulus package. TARP is the program that bailed out Wall Street, and now we need to bail out Main Street with a proposed job bill. Next came the health care issue. Parker Griffith promised to support our position on health care. In fact, he told us many times he could and would use his knowledge as a medical doctor to see that our concerns were met. We all know now he sold us out and aligned with the medical and insurance industries. Thank goodness the House of Representatives passed a good health care bill. We hope that soon the Senate will pass a bill, because doing nothing is not an option. Our health insurance premiums have doubled in the last 10 years and are projected to double again over the next 10 years. The wages we receive remain stagnant because money traditionally used for raises has to be spent on rising health care premiums. Working families all across Alabama have the same buying power as they did in the 1970s, and that is not acceptable. In closing, Parker Griffith promised us during the campaign that he would support working families. After he got elected, he decided that equal pay for equal work was wrong. After he got elected, he decided laid-off workers didn't need unemployment compensation and help with COBRA payments for their health insurance. After he got elected, he decided Alabama would be better off when state employees and police officers and firefighters and EMTs and teachers were without jobs. After he got elected, he decided America would be better off without the American automobile industry. After he got elected, he decided that Alabama working families had too much health care and the system did not need changing. Labor unions in Alabama are serious when we endorse candidates to represent working families, especially when we work as hard as we did for Parker Griffith. His public service as a congressman has ranged from disappointing at its best to disgusting at its worst. Now, Parker Griffith is an extremely wealthy man. Many say he's a multi-millionaire. He also has a very healthy campaign fund. It's obvious to all of us that he had no intentions of keeping his promises to us, so we again ask publicly for our money back. Parker Griffith, we feel you have swindled us. We feel you have used us for name recognition purposes and used our volunteers to contradict all the horrible campaign ads your newfound friends aired against you during the last campaign. Parker Griffith, give us our money back. To our Republican friends who plan on re-electing Parker Griffith, it's very important that you understand these facts. He knowingly resigned from 3 key committees: Science and Technology, and Transportation and Infrastructure, and Small Businesses. These committees have been essential in getting aerospace and defense contracts in Alabama's 5th Congressional District. In 2008, the 5th Congressional District pulled in $8.6 billion. Griffith gave up his seat at the table just before members of the Science and Technology Committee held hearings on the NASA budget that proposes to drop the Constellation program. That program employs over 2,000 people in Huntsville. Griffith claimed, number 2 point, Griffith claimed ideological frustration when he did the party switch, but he commissioned a poll right before he made this move. And finally, the last fact, he does not represent the best interest of the working families in the 5th Congressional District. We don't believe not one single word he says. We believe he has no core or no principles. So, God bless you folks. You can have him. We don't want him no more. And we'll see all of you on the campaign trail.